I'm really excited to be here to help open today with another fantastic leader and speaker, Dean of the School of Management, Kerwin Charles. Kerwin is the Indra Nooyi Dean and Frederic D. Wolfe Professor of Economics, Policy, and Management at the Yale School of Management. In his research, Kerwin focuses on areas including earnings and wealth inequality, conspicuous consumption, race and gender, labor market discrimination, the intergenerational transmission of economic status, and much more. But I also just want to note, in addition to his formal bio, that as I've gotten to know Kerwin through my interview process and in my first couple of months at the school, I've seen just how much of a caring and committed leader that he is. And it's a big part of why I was excited to take on this new role. He's juggling many priorities. Like many of you, he has had to lead an educational institution during a time of tremendous change. And yet, through all of that change and adjustment and his many priorities, he is someone who really has focused on what the Broad Center at SOM can be, and placed tremendous importance on the importance of this alumni community in particular. So we're thrilled to have you here with us, Kerwin, today to help kick off the forum. So I know from our very earliest conversations that it was important to you that we figure out how to bring this alumni community together for the forum, virtually today and someday in person when we're able to do that. Can you tell me a little bit about why the forum was so important to you?
Hi, so let me begin by saying I'm absolutely delighted to be here and could not be more excited about our inaugural TBC at Yale SOM Forum. I have to admit that it wasn't clear to me at the very beginning that the forum would be important. That after the announcement was made that we would be the new home and there would be TBC at SOM, I was unsure about the importance of the forum. And so January a year ago, I went to Los Angeles and I participated in the forum. I didn't participate, I observed. I sat in and looked and saw. And I remember during the forum, I sat with Becca and Shaka, and I think I said to them, I get it. I paraphrase. I get it. I said, I see the importance of this thing. We've got to do this. And the importance became evident to me because it was obvious that the forum was, one, a place for reconnection. There's this large and active and disparate alumni network, and the forum represented an opportunity for many years for them to get together. That's hugely important. But it was not mere kind of socializing. There was also productive engagement. I watched as people learned one from the other and exchanged ideas and insights. And so the importance of the forum emerged from my visit, if I'm admitting things, and I'm happy it did. You mentioned how many people are here today. I want to, as Dean of the school, express my profound gratitude to them for attending and my excitement, the excitement I feel today. I'm told that there are more than 300 persons or so on the call already, and nearly 500 will join by the end, hopefully. I'm further told that they span every single cohort that the Broad Center, both on the academy side, and on the residency. That's 18 and 17 cohorts respectively. That's astounding. That they come from across the country. More than 35 states will be represented. Not only that they come from across the world. We'll have people here, I'm told, from, South Africa and the Netherlands. This is amazing. And I am humbled by that level of participation. I'm also impressed as I review and talk with Hanseul and others about what you, the alums, are doing. I'm struck by how many of you, indeed the overwhelming majority, remain directly involved or in work that supports K through 12 public education. That's amazing. And you do it through your direct involvement in schools and in organizations that support schools and children. I'm humbled to be in your presence and delighted that you could join us.
Thank you, Kerwin. As you know, one of the most important traditions at the Broad Center is this concept of sharing leadership stories, and we were really glad to build that into our agenda today, too, from several network members. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your own leadership story. How did you become the leader you are today as the Dean of the School of Management and as a leading researcher in labor economics and inequality?
Okay, so I'm a dean, as you point out, and so I'm a leader in education. Educational enterprise. So as I look backwards, what would I describe my path? I would say that much of it stems from my childhood. Education, the process of education, the mechanics of it, the organizations that support it, the work of teachers and so forth, has always been deeply important to me. Some of that comes from my family. I was born and raised in a place called Guyana, South America. And my parents are from adjoining villages. And they met as young adults, 19 and 20 something respectively, when they were teaching in their respective villages. My mom was teaching, I think, algebra and geometry. That's how they did it then. And my dad was teaching geography and basic science. And my mom, according to my mom, she noticed this guy stopping by her classroom all the time, and his rather clumsy overtures, thanks be to God, became successful. So those are my parents. So the kind of Kerwin founding occurred in a school. Yeah, my mother spent her entire career as a teacher. So my mother taught, as I mentioned, arithmetic and algebra and geometry, trigonometry. And then later in her career, took over the only school in Guyana dedicated to training or teaching disabled children, the David Rose School. And she was the principal of that school for 25 years. I'm very close to my parents. And so over my life, I saw my mom teaching and interacting with generations of students who benefited from and adored her. And I aspired to that. Then it was my own experience in school. I really liked school. I liked school. I liked the process of education and learning. The people I most revere in my life are my teachers, many of whom I remember from when I was 9 and 12 and 16. Yeah. And it's not merely the productive skills that I acquired in school, which productive skills played no small role in my holding the position that I now have, but it's the other things I learned. It's the other things. It's how you learn empathy in a public school. Yeah. You learn to understand. Yeah, you can do this thing really easily, but your friend, for whatever reason, can't get it as quickly. How do you feel about that? Can you put yourself in his or her shoe? Yeah. There's a thing called grit. You learn about that in school. Yeah. You have challenges, not only in the classroom. You have challenges on a PE thing. You got to dribble with your left hand, run the weave. You can't do it. And then everyone's looking at you. You got to do it. You got it. Yeah. So you learn grit, you learn empathy, you learn certain values you carry with you your life long. What is honor? What is decency? What does it mean to be responsible to a friend, to look out for a friend? My closest friends are friends I met very early in my life in school. And so I learned from my own experience, both in home and my lived experience as a student and child, that education and the sphere of education was hugely important to me. And it was therefore natural in some ways that whatever leadership opportunity I moved into later in life would be in that space. Yes. And I became a university professor after my PhD. As university professor, one is teaching school. One is teaching, in my case, economics. And one is trying to impart knowledge to a classroom of persons, 25, 30 of them, yeah, who are affected by what one communicates. One is leading in that sense. But over time, I came to feel that that kind of leadership, as much as I love it, and I really do love teaching, is narrow. One is engaging, as I said, with 25, 50 people at the outset. But academic leadership offers opportunities to lead and direct and encourage broader aggregations of persons. One can help steer a school's direction. One can support not only one scholarship, but the scholarship of many other persons. And so academic leadership, the position of dean, gives me that opportunity and brings to me profound satisfaction and delight for reasons just mentioned. You've asked also about my life as a scholar, which is the other half of me. That's a good question. So I'm an economist. And neoclassical economics emphasizes, at least in a labor market context, what I like to think of as a kind of anonymity principle. It says that if I'm trying to figure out whether a firm will hire some individual, let's use that example. The thing that matters is the productive traits that inhere in the individual, okay? But the external features of the individual in that framing ought not matter. I care only about whether you can make widgets at a certain speed, do you see? But my own lived experience, the things I observed around me, the things I saw, what I knew about the world, suggests that that perfect frame of anonymity and no attention being paid to traits of phenotype didn't govern how the world treated me, yeah? Nor did it govern how the world treated people I knew, loved, and cared about. And so it is natural in that context to say, I want to use the lens in economics to see where these models go awry, to help study things like gender and race, yes, intergenerational earnings, mobility, etc., all of which emphasize the role of things that our classic model suggests ought not matter. And so I have made it my life's scholarly work to focus on that area of scholarship. And that's why. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful, Kerwin, and really helpful to understand just how central the understanding of inequality has been to your scholarly work, as you said, in addition to what I've heard you talk about in terms of why the Broad Center at SOM matters to you too.
Yes.
One of the things I'm conscious of, having been a leader myself, is that when you start out in a new organization, that first year can be tremendously hectic. There's a lot you're learning, and many people to meet and get to know. And I was struck as I entered into this role of just how early on in your tenure, the Broad Center at SOM became one of the first initiatives that you took on. And it's no small thing to enter into something like that. I'm curious, what made you excited about TBC at SOM? What makes you excited still today? What made it something that you were willing to take on so early on in your tenure as dean?
This is a great question too. With respect to the excitement felt, I should emphasize that one of the things that's really struck me over the last year plus is that the excitement is not mine alone. There is excitement school-wide. The excitement is felt and expressed among the faculty. By the way, I'm at home, so there might be some noise behind me. I hope everyone understands. Yeah? Okay, all right. There's excitement among the faculty and staff, excitement among the students at the school, excitement among our supporters and alums. This excitement has made its way to me in direct conversation, in letters and messages that I've gotten, and these expressions of excitement have been hugely uplifting, yeah, and encouraging. Why? What accounts for it? Given my path, my research interests and so forth, it would not be odd that I'm excited, yeah? But what makes others excited? I think one of the things that makes others excited is that TBC at SOM fits so perfectly into our mission, yeah? It fits so perfectly into our mission. We have this unique and distinctive mission that emphasizes leadership for not only business, but business and society. With the goal, we at the school believe, we have the ambition of training leaders who will do transformative work in multiple important spheres of society. What more important a sphere than public education? Yes? And so the excitement derives in some part from, one, the feeling that it fits with the mission. Yes? The second thing, which informs both, I think, the school's excitement and my own, is that there is an intellectual fit, if you will. So what do we do at the School of Management? We are attempting to train leaders, as I said earlier, for business and society. We're imparting the best knowledge we know and that we can assemble or indeed have produced ourselves concerning issues of leadership and management and the set of topics that are comprehended by those two umbrella items. When I reflect on the multiple challenges faced by a systems leader in public education, yeah? Indeed, anyone involved in the educational enterprise, I know it from my mom's own experiences in a different country, to be sure, but there are parallels. There are things that emerge every day. Budgeting comes up for many of the persons on the call. How to deal with crises, yes? How to deal with operations, who to put in what classroom, thus and so. That kind of thing is the training, the skills that we at the school specialize in providing. And so the intellectual fit is another reason to be excited. Despite these strengths and obvious connections, I don't enter this enterprise, well, let me say in a positive way, I enter this enterprise with a huge amount of humility. Yeah, I think any serious leader and scholar in particular is aware of what she does not know. Yeah, indeed, that's what a scholar is doing. A scholar is saying, here's an area, people have written this thing, yeah, they don't know this next piece, which means you don't know it yourself, so you're going to go get some, you see, humility. Although there are things we do know, and there are things that we can do, in my view, extraordinarily well, as I've just described, there are things we don't know. There are things we've got to learn. There are partnerships we need to form. We will not do this work well unless we rely upon and benefit from the insights of the generations of alums on this call. It won't work. It just won't work otherwise, period. I don't care what we teach, and yeah, it won't work. The thing won't work unless we benefit from the insights and expertise of practitioners that strays beyond the persons on the call. Yeah, do you hear me? We need that humility. And in every public comment I make about what we're going to do, I emphasize it. I am delighted, based on what is reported to me by staff and faculty of this school, that everyone is on board with this. We know what we can do. We're proud of it. We're going to discharge our duties with vigor, enthusiasm, focus, imagination. Yeah, but we're going to rely on you too, because this thing can only work. It can only work if what we're doing in the classroom here in our colloquia and other things is contributed to, critiqued, contributed to by persons on the call.
Thank you, Kerwin. I think that is so well said. And that sense of humility, I know, is an important part of what TBC has tried to bring historically. And I'm really glad we'll be able to carry that forward here at SOM. We have just a couple of minutes left. And so I just wanted to ask.
Sorry if I've gone on long.
Oh, no, not at all. We just have strict timekeepers keeping us on track with all the complications of our virtual meeting. But it's been a little over a year since the announcement was made about TBC at SOM. And I'm just curious if you can update folks on what you've been focused on over that time.
Everyone, the pandemic just made life crazy. Everyone knows, everyone's on the call. And so we've established this transition team with the Broad Center, especially with the Los Angeles folk, who've been teamed up with our team here and have been working in close collaboration, as Shaka and Margie just described. It's been fantastic. We've learned a great deal from Becca and her group, and so I'm rushing through to make sure I get us to stay on time. And so we've been in close collaboration with our friends at the Broad Center, and especially Broad Center Los Angeles. Yeah? We've had to make some COVID adjustments. The preeminent one is we've had to push the date of everything back a bit. Yeah, I'm delighted to report that the faculty understand this. We get the sense that staff understand it. When we've spoken to our benefactors, they understand it as well. So we've had to push it back. There's been no lagging in enthusiasm and excitement, but we've had to shift things back a bit. Perhaps the most important thing, though, is I've had to set up my leadership team. Yeah. And many persons on the call have met Colleen Phelan, and Colleen is just amazing. She's actually amazing. She worked in the dean's office, and she's going to be working with Hanseul on public education, and education in general has been an area of intellectual passion for her for many years. And she, I know, gets along incredibly well, Hanseul, and will be one of your assistants in this enterprise. Then I had to hire you. I had to find an executive director. Yeah, I got to tell you, that search conducted at the school elicited the most amazing set of applications I've ever seen. Yeah? It was incredible. Tons of persons applied for the job, and all of them, most of them, were incredibly high quality. Yeah? What was I looking for? What was I looking for? I was looking for someone who was genuinely committed to public education. Right? I was looking to someone who knew of and admired, this is very important to me, but not uncritically admired, but who admired the work of the Broad Center. This was very important. I wanted someone who understood the vision or my vision and our vision here at the school of what TBC and SOM could become. I needed someone who was smart, who was nimble, who could fit into this environment here at Yale, and importantly, who could work with me. Yeah? Because as has been mentioned, I've got a bunch of other responsibilities. This TBC at Yale SOM is one of my preeminent concerns. And I have to entrust it to someone that I trust, someone I work easily with, get along with. And from our first interview, Hanseul, I hope you feel the same way. I felt we clicked. And that's what I've been up to.